Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to the Daily Six. Grab your Bibles, Genesis chapter 37. While we're in Cumberland, I want to show you something. Genesis 37, come on. You've heard the phrase, too much water's under your bridge, right? I wonder if that's how Joseph's brothers felt after they began this entire journey of deception and murder. Genesis chapter 37. Come on, let's take a look at it. So I am sure that Joseph's brothers thought too much water had gone under their bridge. They got themselves too deep into this deception, this lie, we're going to kill Joseph, but we're going to make it look like he didn't really die from our hands, look like a tragic accident. Genesis 37, we read it yesterday. That when Joseph came to his brothers, he stripped him of his robe, the richly ornamented robe he was wearing, and they took him and they threw him into the cistern. Now that cistern was empty, there was no water in it. Now as they sat down to eat their meal, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spices, with balm, with myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. And so Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." And his brothers agreed. So friends, there's this moment of opportunity, right? They've got to be feeling this sense of being in way over their heads. That once they threw Joseph into that cistern, there was no turning back. Sin had gripped them. They were going to kill him, or they would get caught by their father for doing all this awful stuff. And so, sitting down, contemplating, wrestling with that guilt and that shame, here was an opportunity. A group of Ishmaelites were coming. They were traders. They were international traders. They were on the road to Egypt with all manner of wares, and it describes all this really expensive stuff they had. But Judah probably also knew that the Ishmaelites were slave traders. It was part of their business model. So the idea struck, we could sell off Joseph into slavery. And that's exactly what they did. Let's keep reading. Verse 28. So when the Midianite merchants came by, his brothers pulled Joseph up out of the cistern, and they sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. We think 20 shekels is worth about 120 days' wages in their time frame. So, figure that out in our context, maybe a third of your annual income. So it's a sizable amount of money. When Reuben returned to the cistern and he saw that Joseph was not there, he tore his clothes. And he went back to his brothers and said, "The boy isn't here. Where can I turn now?" So then they got Joseph's robe. They slaughtered a goat. They dipped the robe in blood. And they took that ornamented robe back to their father and said, "We found this. So examine it to see whether it is your son's robe." Well, Jacob recognized it. He said, "It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." You see this wild deception? Not only are they guilty of kidnapping, and then guilty of a plot to murder, and then guilty of selling their brother off into slavery, now they're also deceiving their father. What a profound wickedness. Jacob's heart was crushed. Verse 34. Jacob tore his clothes, he put on sackcloth, he mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "No," he said, "in mourning I will go down to the grave to my son." And so his father wept for him. And meanwhile, the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, captain of the guard. Friends, I don't know if you see the relevance of this story or not, but the truth is that sin can get a hold of us in such a way that we begin to feel trapped. We begin to feel there's too much water under the bridge for us to be able to do anything about it. And so we go deeper. We go deeper into our sin. Shame has captured us, and it causes us to not turn to the Lord, but to keep going deeper and deeper, further down that trail. But I wonder, friends, could you give God 6 more minutes and contemplate this? That according to the gospel of Jesus Christ, there is no sin that has caused too much water to go under your bridge. That in Jesus Christ, every sin can be forgiven. That in Jesus Christ, we can be made brand new. We can be made whole right now. Could you do this? Could you give God 6 more minutes and pray to Him about the water that's come over the bridge in your life? And ask Him to reveal to you what that forgiveness really looks like. Make it a prayer. Ask God to show you how much He's forgiven you. So you and me, we don't have to keep going down that river of sin in our lives. Make that your prayer point, and let's see how the story turns out tomorrow, right here on the Daily 6. We'll see you then.